Greetings, YouTube. The doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Marvel Contest of Champions. And today we're going to talk about what are my top 10 champions of all time up until the end of 2023. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when I've got another video out or when I am live. So I wanted to sit down and think about this a little while. This is, obviously, this is only my opinion. I am sure others are going to differ drastically with my list. Others may agree with my list, but this is the list that I have that meet the criteria that I put down to decide who is in this top 10. And these are the top 10 champions ranging from 2014 when the game started until today. So let's look at the criteria first that I used to determine who is in that top 10. So first off, I wanted to know, is that champion good for questing? That is that champion going to be good in Act 6, 7, and 8? Overall. Overall. It's got to be overall. Can't be good for like one opponent in one quest, in one chapter, in one act. It's got to be somebody that I go to over and over and over again that has utility that I use. So same thing with side quests. Is it someone that I bring in and I use all the time in side quests that allows me or empowers me to get that quest done easily? And when I say get the quest done easily, I mean I'm going through my objective whenever I go into these is to get these done without spending any units and without spending any revives, or spending a minimal number of revives, but absolutely no units going in. And a lot of you guys ask, how do I have so many units? Well, because I don't spend units on revives anymore. I very, very, very rarely spend them. Maybe a couple of times a year I might drop a few units on revives, and that's it. So what champ am I bringing into those side quests that's going to get that side quest done? It's going to get me to the end without any revives. Lastly, event quests. We pretty much get the same kind of format every month for the event quest. So I'm going to be using the same kinds of champs, but as we've seen with the event quests, we've got the champs that they do steer us towards certain champions because of the way the nodes are. But for the most part, those class nodes focus on certain champions and certain classes that we do use all the time anyway. So who are those champions? So are they good for questing? Are they going to get me through these quests? And am I going to minimize my spending of revives in those quests? Secondly, alliance quests. Who am I using for alliance quests over and over and over again? And are they the same champs? So they got to be good in questing. They have to also be good in alliance quests at the same time. Same thing for alliance war. Who am I using over and over and over again for questing, alliance quest, and alliance war? Battlegrounds, again, another one. Who's good in battle? Who is overall good in all of these things, including battlegrounds? And finally, yes, who is good in arena? We don't use arena very much. The duration that you play a champion in arena is minuscule because you play them, they win, and then they have to recharge. But that's part of it. And I didn't include in this, which I should have, incursions. Now, incursions is not a big part of the game unless there's like a special event. So that's kind of why I didn't put it in here. But, we do incursions, and the champs that are on my top 10 list do appear. They do appear in incursions as well, and I find them very useful for incursions. Okay, so that is my criteria. They have to be good, or I have to have use from these champions in all of these. There are, and it's not, and again for Battlegrounds, it's not just the current meta for Battlegrounds. It's not that, because this meta is very different than some of the past metas. But I'm looking at Battlegrounds over the entire history of Battlegrounds to see who who had use in those, but they also got to have use in questing, Alliance Quest, Alliance War, and Arena and Incursions. So just keep that in mind. All right, so let's hide that, and let's go through this. Here are my top 10. Hercules is number 1, hands down. Scorpion, I use Scorpion for I use Hercules for everything. Questing, Alliance Quest, Alliance War, all the acts, side quests, event quests. I use him in Battlegrounds. I'm not using him right now in Battlegrounds because he doesn't do any damage over time. I use him in Incursions. He's fantastic in Incursions. So I use him in everything. Scorpion, he's being used in everything right now, including the current meta in Battlegrounds, and he is a god in the current meta in Battlegrounds because of his damage over time. But he heals. You know, we're going to look at each one of these. Nick Fury is number 3. Again, he's great in everything as well. Black Widow Clairvoyant, another one, great in everything. Number 5 is Kingpin. Not so great in the current meta for Battlegrounds, but overall, I use him all the time for other Battlegrounds. Nimrod, my go-to for taking out mutant champs. Human Torch. What can I say about Human Torch? If you need to go up against a Mystic, almost everybody brings in Human Torch. Photon is a new one. Photon has become a go-to for me. I've got a 7-star Awaken rank 3 Photon, and there's a reason I rank 3 Photon. But if I need someone that does heal reversal, Photon. Omega Red, again, a great mutant champ, does damage over time, very resilient. And lastly, Red Magneto, again, another great mutant champ, very resilient, and just does a lot of damage. These are good damage dealers too, and they stay alive. So I play Suicide, so a lot of these champions are Suicide friendly. Hercules is Suicide friendly. Scorpion is Suicide friendly. Nick Fury, not so much. Black Widow is. Kingpin is. Nimrod is. Human Torch, not so much. Photon, a little bit. Omega Red, definitely, and definitely Red Magneto. So let's take a look at each one of these champs and see. So let's look at Hercules very quickly. Champions, and I will tell you some of the key features that that make me want to play this character so much. Well, immortality, of course. So immortality is definitely one of these things. We don't want to talk about that. Immortality is definitely absolute. Well, it's in his signature ability. So it's absolutely one of these things. I've got it maxed out. 9 seconds of immortality. That is one of the best things about him. One of the other good things about him are the feats of strength. So this is where all his damage comes from. There it is right there. Max stacks of 12. They stay with him. They're persistent. That is totally awesome. I do like the fact that he is resistant to poison. And I do like the fact that he has reduced potency for incoming bleeds. So that makes him suicide friendly. So he actually will heal if you have suicides on with willpower. And then the infuriate's okay, but these if you do special intercepts, that's another great one. So I think his resilient, his immortality is a great thing, especially when it's matched up with Heimdall, and his feats of strength are my number 1 and number 2 things about him. All right, so Scorpion was next on that list. So what can we say about Scorpion? Well, sting debuffs. Though, I mean, what can we say more about that? And so they inflict damage over time, but that's not the point. The point is I can choose which sting buff I want pre-fight, and when a champ goes to use their special, they take a whole bunch of damage. If the opponent triggers a special attack while suffering from his personal stings, inflict 2,235 sting debuff damage per stack of sting. So this is one of the reasons why I have him maxed out, and he is ascended. The other thing is he gains immunity to damage over time effects that he did not select. So if I select Rupture, he gets damage over time. He is immune to shock and poison, which makes him suicide friendly. One of the other things I like, Scorpion Sense is a pretty good power. That has come in and saved me. Torment is good. I like building him up to a special 2 to get the potency. To get the Petrify that is there. And the big one here is if the opponent is inflicted with a Petrify and they attempt to heal, Scorpion gains 100% of the health denied. He doesn't gain all of it because there's a limit to it, but he does heal. So he is suicide friendly, and he has that. Now, the only thing I don't like about him is he's metal. So if you look here at the tags, he's metal. So that can be a detriment. Okay, so number 3 is Nick Fury. And what can I say about Nick Fury? He's got 2 lives, and he does a ton of bleed damage. Ton of bleed damage. His crit rate is increased if they're bleeding. And while the opponent is not under the effects of a regen, all Nick's bleeds are 100% more potent. Okay? And his tactical advantage charges, what can I say about these? You know, can't miss or evade. So those evade champs, that's no good. Purifies effects that now target all debuffs. That's great. Unblockable. And all charges are replaced with Nick Fury's Fury buff, which does a whole ton of damage. So, and he's got the 2 lives. And he's got some good synergies, too. Let's not forget this first synergy right here. 10% attack rating to all heroes. So, Hercules gets a 10% when Hercules is on the team. I love it. All right, number 4 was Black Widow Clairvoyant. Again, another suicide-friendly champion who's great at doing a lot of different things. I think her best thing that she has is her curses, which make her immune to the Thing. Curse of Blood, so she starts out bleed immune, then she goes to poison immune, then she goes to incinerate immune. So when I have suicides on, the bleed doesn't do anything. It's gone. And then I switch over to Curse of Plague, and the poison is gone. And then I switch over to incinerate and start doing some damage. And I always go to a special 2 on that one to do extra energy damage. Now, another great thing are her clairvoyance charges. So she starts with 3 each time she or an opponent are immune to effect. She gains another one and 4% of her max power. And after landing or receiving a light or medium attack and the opponent has 1 or more buffs, a charge is consumed and a buff is nullified. Awesome. Great. Lots of utility with her. And her curse of the blood will heal her. So if we look down here, each hit grants an effect. Curse of the Blood regenerate 35% of the damage dealt. So I've always brought her in, and I've gotten her health from nothing to back to 100%, which is awesome. Okay, number 5 is Kingpin. So you notice I've got all of these guys ascended as well. Kingpin, what can I say? Another suicide-friendly champ. Great damage. Can't be buffed. He gets these rages. His regen is brought down a little bit. It'd be crazy if his regen was as high as it was. But he gets these rage debuffs, and he has a 60% chance to purify all debuffs, all non-rage debuffs, and he gains a rage debuff whenever it. So, you know, if I got champs that are going to do a whole bunch of debuffs, I bring him in, and he ramps right up immediately. He gets resistant to damage with the rage, and he does extra damage. So each debuff on Kingpin strengthens his resolve, increasing his attack rating and combat power rate. And then he goes into Overpower, which does a whole bunch more damage. You can get these Furies with his heavy attacks, and I like to do his Special 3, just to gain the Rage and refresh all Overpower buffs. And then his Awakened ability isn't bad. It allows him to kind of recycle all his Rages. And so very suicide-friendly. Just an awesome champ. If you bring him in with Hood, he has a 100% chance to purify, so he becomes a purified monster. All right. Number 6 is Nimrod, also ascended. Okay. Anti-mutant champ. That's if I need to go up against a mutant, then this is the guy I use. He's a robot, so he's immune to bleed and poison, so he is suicide friendly. Armor breaks, cannot remove his armor ups. Attacks deal energy damage, that's great. And against mutants, he is immune to ability accuracy modifications. He's got these protocols I like to use. I like to go from Titan protocol to Blitz protocol at the end, and his special 2. What can I say? Each hit inflicts a passive shock, dealing 8,950 damage over time, over 2 seconds. And that will take a mutant and just completely melt them. Attacks invalidate 1 prowess and remove 1 regeneration effect, replacing each with a shock. So who gets prowesses? Mutant champions get prowesses. And a lot of them get regen effects too. And that's a regen effect, not a buff. So what can I say about him anymore? He's great. All right. Number 7. Human Torch. Where is our torch? There he is. He has not ascended yet. Okay. I almost always turn his pre-fight on as much as I can. He's immune to Incinerate, Cold Snap, and Frostbite, so not suicide friendly, but he has some immunities. He's got these Smolders, which is great. There's his pre-fight there, which is awesome. And all of his Incinerates become passives. And he increases his temperature. So when his temperature is at 20, he inflicts his Incinerates longer. So the Incinerate debuffs deal 796 damage over 3 seconds. And they increase longer the more Smolders he has. And if you hit him with an energy attack, he gets a Smolder. Every time he gets hit by a Mystic Champion, he gets a Smolder. So this is why he is so awesome for that. And then, so he's got a 0% chance to incinerate the opponent over 4 seconds. This chance increases up by a flat 10% for each Incinerate or Smolder on either champion. So if I've got 5 Smolders on me and they've got 5 Incinerates, there's a 100% chance that they're going to take a more Incinerate. Okay, all attacks from Mystic Champions are considered energy attacks towards this ability, which is awesome. And then I like to go to the special 2 for the stun. So if I need to get rid of a Mystic Champ, that's my guy right there. All right, number 8, Photon. This is our new one. So I got her as a 7-star. I duped her, and then I ranked her all the way up to rank 3. She was my second rank 3. Hulk was my first rank 3. So she loses when stunned. She loses the control of her solid form and gains untouchable for 2.5 seconds. That has saved my behind so much. She's immune to bleed and power steal effects, which means that she is suicide friendly. She can trigger parry mastery against non-contact attacks, and all of her attacks deal energy damage. Now, you got to watch out for that, because if you take her up against a Human Torch, you're going to get blasted. And then whenever the opponent is inflicted with a debuff, she inflicts a non-stacking 80% Petrify for a half a second. And pretty much almost every single one of her attacks put a debuff on, which means any regen or health regain is gone. It's completely gone. And if they have willpower, it's gone. It's removed. So there's all the utility right there. So first and third light attacks do an energy vulnerability. First medium attack does a suppression. So there's 3 hits right there in a 5-hit combo that each one will put a Petrify on. And then the heavy does a sunder. She gains the electromagnetic charges, which persist over combats, which is great. And then she gets a bunch of furies. So she does a ton of damage, just lots and lots of damage. So great utility out of that champion. Okay, number 9 is Omega Red. Where is my Omega Red? There is my Omega Red right there. Again, a suicide-friendly champ who's good in all modes of the game. Does the death spores. Not so great against robots, but does the death spores against everybody else, where you can basically just put those on and sit back and relax and do a heavy every once in a while to do the degen, and it causes all of the death spores to pause. And again, while the death field is going, he emits a death field when he's got a bleed debuff, and then he doesn't take any damage from bleeds or poisons. So immune to the effects of poisons and reduces the damage of bleeds by 90%. So what that means is you still have a bleed debuff on you, but if you have willpower, it counts as a debuff, so you start healing. So he's great. Awesome. And I like to go to special 3 with him. I like to melt opponents with the death field, and then I like to go to the special 3. So again, can't do bleed, can't do poison. A lot of these champs are great against things like Biohazard, which is just a pain. Okay, that was number 9. Number 10 is Red Magneto, who is all the way down here. He's such a low PI champ, and I do need to rank him up. He is going to rank 5. Okay, so big thing right here, magnetism. Metal champions. So he's like the Human Torch to Mystics. He's the guy against metal. Metal opponents suffer an indefinite magnetize, minus 70 ability accuracy, regeneration rate is reversed, and then he gets special magnet bonuses. Always active. Incoming bleeds and shocks suffer a 90% potency, which means he's suicide friendly and will heal. Magneto's hits deal energy damage instead of physical. And he gets plus 10% base special attack damage. If they're magnetized, you can block. You're probably not going to take any damage. His attack rating goes way up. And attacks cannot be auto-blocked or missed. So when you go up against, say, the phasing Gilly 2099, he doesn't care that she's phasing. He just goes after her. Can't be auto-blocked or missed. And then ignores class disadvantage. He removes his attack penalty, and his opponent loses their attack bonus. So every time he knocks an opponent down, he gets a Pro S. And you can stack those way up. So while charging his heavy attack, he's unstoppable. That can go into cooldown, but that has saved my bacon a lot. And the cooldown is shortened if they're magnetized. And then bleed debuffs are upgraded. And I like to go all the way to a special 3. So I like to max out his Pro S's and then hit them with the special 3. So if the opponent is a hero, he has a 100% chance to gain a 30-second Fury. If they're magnetized, he has a 100% chance to gain that Fury. And each Pro S buff on Magneto has a 70% chance to inflict 1 bleed debuff, causing 1774 damage over 8 seconds. If I've got 30 of those on, they're going to be hurting really bad. So again, great utility, great in all content. His awakened ability is awesome, which it just increases all of his damage and his resistances. So great champ. All right, that is my top 10 list for the game. Let's put it back up here. Let's do a little summary. So there's the criteria. They have to be good in all of these areas. And that is the top 10 list. Hercules, Scorpion, Nick Fury, Black Widow, Clairvoyant, Kingpin, Nimrod, Human Torch, Photon, Omega Red, and Red Magneto. All right, that is what I got for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.